Right, we are back with another first round match in our Crown of Kings tournament. This is the number 8 seeded Seth Rollins going up against the number 25 seeded Masha Slamovich. Right then, so Seth Rollins has got this far because... Oh, okay. I was wondering what was going on there because it skipped the entrances, but Becky Lynch is attacking Masha Slamovich during Masha's entrance. That's interesting, given Seth... I mean, Seth would be the heavy favourite for this one anyway, but Seth, even bigger advantage now that Masha has suffered that attack at the hands of Seth's wife, Becky Lynch, but there we go. Okay, so Seth Rollins, of course, he deserved this opportunity. I'm surprised he was below some of the others in the PWI, only being in 8th position. Of course, he had a fantastic year in 2024 and 2025, main eventing one of the nights of WrestleMania and winning the championship in that match. It was the triple threat, wasn't it, against Roman Reigns and CM Punk, of course. And Masha Slamovich, this is an interesting one. I don't honestly know. I've had a quick look, and the reason why she is so high is... And of course, the PWI 500 is more an open division. It's all down to who is dominating the sort of open part of wrestling, if that makes sense. So the World Heavyweight Championships, that sort of stuff. And I know that Masha has done a lot of intergender wrestling on the independent scene, not necessarily in TNA. Of course, in TNA, she has won women's championships, knockouts championship, that sort of stuff. But that doesn't count towards this part because there is a female PWI 250, which is based solely around the women's division. So what this is solely around the open part of wrestling. So yeah, Masha's done a lot of independent stuff where she has wrestled a lot of men and won some big matches against some of the champions on the independent scene, which is why she's qualified so high. And I think she was one of only, I think it was like 4 or 5 women in the top 500, because there's not a lot of intergender wrestling around, to be honest, is there? And of course, it must have been a huge day for Masha Slamovich to be announced that high up in the PWI, to be announced as number 25 in the PWI 500. But it wasn't necessarily a great day for her, was it? Because she was also accused of abuse on the same day, where she's now apologised for her actions. So yeah, it's a bit of a messy one, isn't it? But there you go. Yeah, so I mean, across the independent scene, she is the Combat Fight Unlimited Undisputed Champion. She's a GCW World Heavyweight Champion one time as well, JCW World Heavyweight Champion. She won the Jersey J Cup. She is... That looks like... Oh yeah, she's a former WXW Women's Champion. That is okay. Yeah, ignore me on that one then. Yeah, so she has won, mainly in GCW, some big intergender championships, which is why she was rated so highly, I would imagine. The Jersey J Cup, what is that now? I've never even heard of that before, to be honest, but that was... Okay, yeah, it was a mixed competition. So she defeated Amazing Red and Leon Slater, and then went on into the tournament to also defeat Marcus Mathers and Alec Price in the final. She won the final by TKO, apparently, which is interesting. So that's obviously why she's been rated so highly this year. But yeah, the attack by Becky Lynch at the very beginning is interesting. Maybe we have to build that in. Maybe we can build that in and potentially we can have a non-title match at the pay-per-view this weekend. Maybe we could do... Masha Slamovich versus Becky Lynch one-on-one in... Well, it depends how Masha goes, I suppose, isn't it? I mean, Masha might actually win this match. It's not completely against the run of play, considering what's happened over this entire competition so far. The lower seeded person has often won their matches. But if she was to be eliminated before the quarterfinals, I think a match between Masha Slamovich and Becky Lynch could be done at our show on Sunday. A little additional non-tournament match. And Masha's doing very well here, rolling through with the German on Seth. And like I said, I think Becky did some damage early on, but it wasn't a huge attack. It wasn't like massive. It was just sending her into the ring steps. It's going to do some damage, but evidently it's not been completely game-changing. as Masha now heads up to the top rope. Diving in with the attempted splash. Seth was able to roll out of the way. And I was going to have Seth managed by Paul Heyman in this tournament, but evidently Real World decided to change that over the next, or the last few days, didn't they, really? I don't know what's going to happen. Is Seth now a face? Is Seth now... There's the curb stomp in the middle of the ring on Masha Slamovich. There's the pin by Seth. That could be enough to secure his place in the second round. It's not. It's only a 2 count. The strike in the face now by Seth. It was only a 2 count, but Seth is still in control. There's the boot right into the back of the leg of Masha. Nice hip toss by Seth, taking Masha down. Seth now heading up to the middle rope, diving in with the double axe handle to the back. Completely missed it, though. And there's that reverse suplex. Shades of Devon Dudley. Who would have thought that Seth Rollins would be summoning the spirit of Devon Dudley for this match? There you go. Misses the leg drop, and now Masha takes the advantage to try and turn things around. There is the elbow to the inside of the knee and then slamming down. Masha now taking Seth up into the powerbomb. Masha now dragging Seth from the ropes. What's she going to go for now? She's hooking the legs, looking for a Texas Cloverleaf submission. Beautiful submission hold, locked in. Seth now back up on his feet. They went for the strike. Masha avoided it, but Seth does catch her. Off the ropes. Over the top goes Seth in with the drop kick. Seth now with a boot right into the chest of Masha, now dragging away. Look at that, just pulling away at the chin. Masha now with a boot in the gut. And taking Seth up, looking for the package. Seth was able to avoid it and sending Masha over the top. Drops into the pin for the 1, for the 2. Only a 2 count. Seth now willing Masha Slamovich back up to her feet. There's the boot in the gut, and Seth hooks the arms in with a pedigree. And that has surely got to be game, set, match. He's not even going to go for the pin, though. He's going to follow up the pedigree with another curb stomp, and surely Masha Slamovich is out of this one. There's the 1, there's the 2, and there... No, what? How on God's green earth have you kicked out of that? That is insane. But that's enough. There we go. I thought it was too much, and it was eventually too much. Masha did incredibly well to survive as long as she did, but Seth Rollins was just one step too good today. And of course, Masha already taken damage at the very beginning with that attack from Becky Lynch. And like I said, I think that's what we'll do now. We'll do some sort of Masha versus Becky Lynch match at the pay-per-view on Sunday as well. Good chaos theory there, and Masha also hit Seth with this sort of like a brain-busted scoop slam. That wasn't enough, though. Again, that was only enough for the 2. And then Seth hitting 2 curb stomps and a pedigree wasn't quite enough. Seth then, with that point, now moves up to a plus 23 in the ranking system. Seth also moves on to the second round, of course. And Masha Slamovich is going to drop down to a plus 2 after 14. Not having a great year now, Masha. That's minus 2 after 4 matches for her. But yeah, we'll put that in. We'll put Masha Slamovich versus Becky Lynch. We'll give it some sort of gimmick. I'm not sure yet. We'll put something to it. I'm thinking maybe Underground, might be a good shout for it. And there was the pin after the second of the third of the curb stomps, and that eventually was enough for Seth to pick up the victory. So Seth moves on to round number 2 of our Crown of Kings. I've got to talk there for a second. Crown of Kings tournament. And we're now officially halfway through the first round. Still today we have Mystico versus Bron Breakker. We have Will Ospreay versus Mascara Dorada. And then into tomorrow for the final 6 matches. We have got Okada versus LA Knight. Joe Hendry versus Nick Nemeth. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Jacob Fatu. Obafemi versus Trick Williams. CM Punk versus Damian Priest. And Bandido versus Konosuke Takeshita. It does look like the game has decided that Becky Lynch versus Masha Slamovich should also be a feud. Well, there we go. Why not? Let's build off of what the game has given us and take full advantage. Right then. That's it. I love you, leave you. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.